Lockdown has sent me back to school and taught me a lot.
Yes, Sean. Hello, Corey. Mr. King from Botswana, how are you doing? Mpo, how are you doing? You good?
Hi, how are you?
Fantastic, man, fantastic. It is starting to be summer, and we are seeing the beautiful skies, blue skies here. Just waiting for the rain now. It's summer. It's nice.
We are back to full lockdown, eh?
I have heard so. From last week Thursday, 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
For 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks.
Ay. That's tough.
Yeah, no, but I don't think they'll go the full 2 weeks. They want, you know, the country has been zoned. Instead of using provinces like we using zones. So
Yes.
they wanted the Greater Gaborone zone locked in.
Okay.
Because I think for the first time we're experiencing a rapid spread due to community infections. Because initially all up to and until some point, most were deemed to have been imported.
Yes.
And
yes.
were being dealt with. So there was a bit of a concern about the rapid rise in community infections.
I hear that.
So they wanted to lock.
That is.
But I think they'll lift it before the 2 weeks, because the aim was to try and lock it in and try and do some
contact tracing.
Contact tracing.
Okay.
Let me grab a coffee.
Hello, Elian. I see that you are here. Goed en jy?
Good. Yes, we are here.
That's good. And I see Melissa is also, and Zander is also on the line, and Corey Boertes, Carly, Zoe. So we've got fairly good.
Thomas also here. Hello, Thomas.
Oh, Thomas.
Hello.
Yes.
Patrick here. How are you doing, Nico?
Good, and you, my friend?
Good, man. Can you hear me clean?
Yes, I can. And you are on the computer with the X464549?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now I know.
Thanks.
Thank you. Welcome here.
No, thanks.
Okay.
No, thanks, Nico.
I see Pinda is here as well. Okay, guys, it is 1 minute past 11. I'm going to start, and I will, while we are going on, I will give you some guidelines of what we are doing. And this is today our webinar number 13 in our series of general ISO implementation, and we're looking at the analysis of risk and objectives. Now, if you have attended some of our previous webinars, you will see that leadership objectives and those kind of topics are very close to each other. And if you're looking at the ISO standards, clause 4, clause 5, and clause 6 is speaking about the context of the organization, understanding it. Clause 5 is speaking about leadership specifically, and leadership, the first sentence in every standard, it is saying the top management shall ensure that the strategic objectives and the operational objectives of a specific standard is aligned. Now this is precisely what we are talking about here. And if we are going to, I just want to give you the next, I'm going to take my video off that we have got a good overview here. Okay, so the webinar guidelines, please mute your microphone. Each one of you, it is disturbing the listeners. So please make sure that there is no background noises that can affect this webinar. Keep your video off, please. You can enable it when you are asking a question. And let me finish with the presentation first. We have contracted with you for only 60 minutes, and we will keep to that. So we want to make sure that within 50 minutes that we've done everything, and that the chat box that you've got there on the Zoom at the bottom or at the top, there's a Zoom chat box. Please, if you've got any questions, document it there. And while we are going on, Helene is going to be taking note of that, and then we will allocate about 10 minutes at the end, 10 or 15 minutes, depending how long the process is going. And then attendance register. Please, everybody, we have got a fantastic. We have got a tool that is actually capturing all our certificates that we have issued over the last 3 or 4 years. So we've got a digital certificate vault. So please provide us your name, your surname, your mobile number, your email address, as well as the last thing is your company detail that we can issue for you for this hour that you have contracted now with us, a record of the time spent here. Then the webinar shall be recorded, and it shall be made available to everyone. It is going to be posted on our YouTube channel, so you can go and check it out there. So if we are looking at the table of contents, I am going to address who is CREST, the meaning of risk, the meaning of objectives, and then I am going to touch on the key performance areas, objectives and risk, key performance indicators, objectives and risk, and then what does key performance indicators means, and then the KPI for financial and customer matrix, and the difference between KPI and KRIs. Now, people that don't know what is KRIs, it is key risk indicators. So KPIs, we've got it there, it is key performance indicators, and KRIs are key risk indicators. And then if there's time left, I will go over to, did I share my screen? Yes, I did. We will go over to the isolatic system, endorsement and freebies, and then questions that is there. So who is CREST? CREST is a company that has been established the 13th of June 2014. So we are 6 years and nearly 2 months old. We are still in the baby steps of any kind of company, but we've got a global reach, and this is what is nice about us is that we are working with corporate governance. Corporate governance, we are actually speaking about corporate governance, everything that you can do to actually make your business better, whether it is within the enterprise risk environment, whether it is in business continuity, compliance management, health and safety, security management, anti-bribery, that is very pertinent now at the moment. And we have been certified in 17 standards within our company. So we can certify internationally people that is lead implementers, lead auditors. We can certify training organizations. We can certify management systems, and there's a few other international certifications that we can process. We are also a level 2 BE company. Now, for people that is outside of South Africa, triple BE is black empowerment, and we have actually given away 51% of CREST Advisor Africa to our black partners. And platinum partner, this is here at the bottom. We are platinum partner of the Professional Evaluation Certification Board. Now, if you don't know about the PECB, please do me a favor. Go to the website of www.papa-echo-charlie-bravo-pecb.com. You will see wonderful stuff there. Now, if you look at this platinum partner is for us a very elite partnership. At the moment, I think there's only 18 partners that is platinum partners out of 1,959 accredited partners globally. Only 18, and we are, I think, number 6 or 7 on the list that they've got there. So this is for us a huge accolade. Then we are going over to what do we do? We are doing training in specifically ISOs or the management systems. We are doing training in CETA accredited or SAQA accredited training. And then we've got competence and personal development training as well. Our advisory services is actually an extension of our training. Everything that we are doing there, we're implementing as well. We are also auditing that, and we have built products around that to make sure that what we have trained people on, we can actually, with the speed of implementation, we can implement a management system, I think, with about 50% faster than any other company that you can engage with, because we have already built 17 standards premium toolkits. Now, those toolkits, if you go and look at our competitors, they will give you about between 25 and 48 documents in a toolkit. Our toolkits has got between 114 and 140 documents that is pre-prepared, that is already done, and that is addressing the requirements of that specific clause in the standard. Technology, as I was indicating to you, if we have got time left, I will give you a glimpse quickly of our Analytics system. This system is actually, it is a unique system that is the only system globally now at the moment that can do remote auditing. No system can do that. And then the resource and talent management, we have done that for the last 3 or 4 years. We are working in the C-suite and executive environments, so we are assisting there with the placement of C-suites and executives. And then our international certification, very important, because this has to do with persons, with products, with management system, training organizations, trainers, and auditors. And then we have added during lockdown cyber forensics, because the globe is actually moving onwards to a cyberspace. And everything that we are doing, whether we're working from home, whether we are on the road, we are working with our mobile phones, that is in the cyberspace. So the digital space is growing exponentially. And we have moved our focus to have a specific partnership with experts in the community with the cyber forensics. We've also got an engineering division and project management that is actually part of auditing, advisory services, everything that we've got there. Just to give you our footprint, we have an international company has actually bought a substantial stake in Crest, and this has made us actually a huge global company that we can work now with direct clients in all these places, in Europe, in the Americas, Asia, and Pacific, and then the Middle East and Africa. And we have got the PCB licenses already for these areas there, for Europe, for Africa and the Middle East, for the Pacifics, and we are waiting for our accreditation for the Americas. And that will be when we're opening our offices in the US as well as in Australia. So let's go over to the topic of today, analyzing risk and objectives. Now, guys, if you know Crest and you know us, our core business is risk. Our core critical business is risk management. Now, if you're looking at risk management is the pivotal point of any organization to actually determine what is your objectives, and out of your objectives to determine what can create for you uncertainty about reaching your objectives. Now, if you go into the next slide, I've got here, what is the meaning of risk? So risk is the effect of uncertainty on objectives. It's as simple as that. 5 words, only 5 words. So those 5 words is actually, if you turn it around, because if you look at this, you will see effect is a negative phrase. Uncertainty is a negative phrase, but objectives is a positive phrase. It is actually saying that objectives, my objective for this year is we need to be out of COVID or something. We need to be healthy. So what can create for me uncertainty of being healthy? So if you're looking at that and turn it around into positive, you will get actually here to create to create certainty in achieving your objectives. So this immediately turns around into where we're speaking about risk management here. The flip side of the coin here is actually we are speaking about performance management, and this is why I have selected to actually bring in the KPIs, the KRIs, etc. Now, if you look at risk is an effect. An effect is a deviation from the expected, positive or negative. So if you are expecting that your lights are on when you are out in the evening and you're coming back when it is dark and you see that your lights are off, that is immediately for you a risk, because you don't know, did the power trip, is there somebody in the house? That is a simple example. So this is, you are expecting that it has to be on because you've got timers and you've got day-night switches and all those things, and now it is not on. And so it can be positive and it can be negative. So the positiveness in this is actually what is the opportunity in it. Objectives can have different aspects. It can be financial, health and safety, environmental goals, anything that you can actually, whether it is maintenance, whether it is operations, whether it is IT, it is across the board, because you've got objectives in each one of those verticals in your business and can apply at different levels. At different levels, we are speaking about a strategic level, an organization-wide level, a project level, a product level, and a process level. So all of those levels, so we can also say strategic, tactical, operational. We can also say that any project that you are implementing. Note 3 is risk is often characterized by reference to potential events. Now, events are actually incidences, as we know it in the health and safety environment, in the environmental management environment. So events is actually a bigger phrase for documenting events, incidents, because it also means that it is incidents or accidents, as well as it is near misses, close calls, and all those kind of incidences, and that is grouped under the name events. And then you need to measure consequences or a combination of these. Note 4 is risk is often expressed in terms of a combination of consequences of an event and the associated likelihood. So the likelihood is how many times a month, a week, a day, 6 months, a quarter, can something happen? And that likelihood is critical, because that actually, the consequence could be that there's a death. But if that death is once in every 5 years, versus the competitors that is once possibly in a year, then you've got the competitive advantage that you can actually use that as a selling point in your business and say that we are working safely. And then note 5 is uncertainty is the state, even partial, of deficiency of information related to understanding or knowledge of an event, its consequences or likelihood. Now, this is for me very important, because the understanding of and knowledge of, that is speaking directly to competence. And if people don't have the competence, now if I have to define competence, I'm going to define it for you in 4 circles. The first component is knowledge. So your knowledge is actually what you studied and what you have experienced over the 10, 15, 20 years that you have worked. The second component is skills. Skills to have to work with MS Project, the skills to work with Excel, the skills to work with any kind of the skills to handle conflict in your organization or in your team, the skills to actually make sure that everybody has got emotional intelligence on a certain level. So this is on competence. Now, if you're looking at objectives, what is objectives? Because people are speaking about objectives and goals and etc. Now, objectives is a specific result or outcome that a person, a company, or a management system aims to achieve. So the outcome for a management system is usually, I want to be healthy and mature in a space to make sure that I am getting the ISO certification for a specific standard. That is my objective. It's as simple as that. I also want to say that if COVID is opening up, I want to go and visit Botswana, the Okavango. So for us to go to the Okavango, we have to make plans for it. We have to budget for it. We have to allocate a time frame to it. We have to make sure that we've got our resources right, whether it is travel, whether it is money, whether it is our own health. That is our specific objectives. In general, objectives are more specific and easier to measure than goals. Goals is this bigger environment that we are talking about. So if we're talking about, one of my clients is a civil aviation authority, and the civil aviation authority in New Zealand was actually writing a white paper about their goals, their objectives, their mission, and their vision. And their goals is simple. Their goals are actually to create a safe and secure space for people in a civil aviation to fly. That's all. So goals is that bigger one. How do you get to do those goals is your objectives. So you have got a safety management system, you've got a security management system, you've got your everything that is actually building your environment to make your goal happen. Objectives are basic tools that underlie all planning and strategic activities. So this is how important objectives are. And if you're looking back at our definition of risk, if you don't understand that risk has got a direct correlation with objectives, and objectives is actually defined in ISO 31000, and that is part of a management system. Objectives is critical to your risk management. You cannot do risk management or any kind of management, whether it is quality management, health and safety management, environmental management, anti-bribery management, if you don't have objectives. Because one of the objectives you are going to be, let's talk about anti-bribery. We are working with a huge armament company globally, and one of the objectives that they've got is that they have to deliver a corruption-free environment for people to tender. Now that is simple because they know exactly what they want, but that came about because of all the tender problems that was there previously with the procurement of big contracts, of airplanes, etc. And I think you can refer back to what I'm talking about here. But this is the underlying thing of any management system is actually your objectives. They serve as the basis for creating policy and evaluating performance. Now we are starting here to be speaking about KPIs, KRIs, etc. And some examples of business objectives is minimizing expenses, expanding internationally, or making a profit. Now you can see in my previous slides when I was saying that we've got a footprint in 34 countries. That was our growth strategy. Our growth strategy was, do we have the right product that we can put out actually to our clients? Firstly, do we actually have diversity there? Now that we have got that in those 10 offerings that we are that we are pushing out there, the second question is, how do we grow? How do we grow from South Africa to go to Botswana, from Botswana to go to Ethiopia, from Ethiopia to go to Kenya, from Kenya to go to Ghana, to Rwanda, and then to Australia? We've got clients in the Ukraine. We are now busy with tenders in Moldova, in the Eastern Europe. So this is our strategy, is growing exponentially internationally, because we cannot be defined by the borders that we are living in. And if we're saying that objectives is based on verifiable evidence or facts, verifiable, not thumbsuck, verifiable. If you say that I've got 50 liters in my fuel tank, if we are going to be checking on your fuel gauge, we will find there 50 liters or maybe 25 liters. And then the question is, where did the other 25 liters go to? And it is not about attitude, belief, or opinion. It is critical that we know that we have to be verifying everything here. Now, if you're looking at key performance areas, objectives and risks. Now, if you're looking at your objective, that is actually coming from your mission, your vision, your objectives, and then out of your objectives, you're actually starting with your action plans. And with your action plans, you are actually saying my key performance areas to achieve my objectives is actually my process improvement, my maintenance, health and safety, quality, business continuity, security, and if you're working in the IT space, it is ICT. Or that your systems are functional, it is mature, it is growing, it has got good uptime, etc. And out of these key performance areas, then you are starting to actually build your key performance indicators. But everything is actually like a chain. It is hooked to the objective. And the risk that is in this space, in process improvement, you need to go and analyze that in terms of your objectives. Now, on this one, you can easily go and list process faults, and those process faults you can turn around into improvements. In your maintenance, the same. You can list your maintenance challenges or your maintenance incidents or events, and out of that you can turn that around into improvement. The same with health and with safety and health, with business continuity that we are sitting in actually now with COVID. It's a huge risk, business continuity, because now the challenge is, how do we keep our companies afloat? How do we make sure that people are safe when they are going to work? So all of these processes are actually, all these key performance areas are on a high level measured by the board as well as by your exco. I want to go over into the key performance indicators, objectives and risks, because your KPIs is critical in the strategy that your company have, in how do you measure, how do you innovate. Innovation is for business survival. Innovation is every 3 years or every 2 years or every 18 months, you need to be in a space where you are actually having a new innovation out there. We can actually look at the competitive market of cell phones. 20 years ago, the best cell phone on the market was a Nokia brick. That was, everybody wanted to have that. In the second year, it was actually the Motorola's that flips, the one that you can flip open and close. And if you're looking today, what is the leading cell phone makers doing? They are actually creating every 6 months or every 8 months, there's a new function on a phone, or there's a new phone that is coming out. So you need to constantly upgrade. And if you don't upgrade the systems, the 4G, 5G systems that is starting to be built, and that is starting to be rolled out globally, your phone will not function anymore. And eventually you have to upgrade. And that is actually what we need to do here, because we need to be in a position to say a key performance area is further defined and delineated by one or more key performance indicators. So if I'm looking at maintenance is, do I have the correct expertise? Do I have the correct vendors, subcontractors, maintenance teams? What is my uptime of my systems? So anything, what is my work orders? Is my work orders and my work processes, are they executed within time, within specific times? Very, very important that the key performance indicators on that specific level of maintenance are being analyzed, and out of that you can go and determine which ones of those are actually your key risks. Now, your key performance indicators are the outline of indicators that describe the performance graph of employees at the individual level in its definition. Now, I want to talk about that part there, because we are speaking about individuals, but actually that individual cannot work without the company strategy. That individual is actually on an island if that individual is not linked to the company strategy, the company vision, mission, and the objectives, as well as if that key indicators are not aligned with the company with the key performance areas of the company. So this is not only on individual level, this is on team level as well. Where you as a team needs to reach a certain objective there. So I want to ask, what exactly is a KPI? Now, if you're looking at KPIs, let's just go quickly into the definitions there. In the Oxford Dictionary says it is a quantitative measure used to evaluate the success of an organization, of the employees, etc., in order to achieve performance. And we can easily go there to achieve performance. If you remember what I was saying with the definition of risk, the effect of uncertainty on objectives is actually the creation of certainty in achieving the objectives. So that is actually your measurement to say my performance is linked to my objectives and how do I perform there. My KPI definitions in Wikipedia is saying it is a set of measurable measures that the company uses to gauge its effectiveness over time. So now you are actually looking at over the last 4 or 5 years. Let's take a very important ethical process in any organization is, do you have a complaints hotline, or do you have I want to speak about the hotline as an extension of your ethical processes, of compliance, of performance, of everything that people has got anonymous access to, where they can actually go and lock something there. Nobody knows who that person is, and that incident kicks off an investigation to make sure that bribery, corruption, ethical behavior, etc., are not happening. Now the question is, out of that hotline, if I'm looking as an auditor about this subject, I will ask you, give me the stats for the last 5 years on the hotline. I want to see how many complaints did you get from January to December, and out of that, if we are starting to be overlaying it with 2015, 2016, 2017, 18, 19, and in the current year in 2020, you will see that in those spaces you can see a trend, especially where there is peaks and valleys. Now the peaks is where you've got big risk, big complaints, and that needs to be addressed. And out of that, your continuous improvement is always going to be based on something that you have got a risk to. Then if we're looking at Macmillan's, it is saying a way to measure progress towards an organization's effectiveness and goal achievement. Now, all of these are actually saying the same thing. It is drawing your key performance indicator closer to your objective, and with the risk analysis that you have done, you can easily see what is going to affect you negatively and how you are going to be growing positively over the next 2 to 3 years. So here we've got a few examples, and I want to state there that should a good KPI act as a compass, very important. A compass is always looking at north. So what is your true north? How do you work with your true north? And your true north is actually your ethical environment as a leader. As a leader, it doesn't matter where you are fitting in the organization. You've got an ethical space or personal space that you are working within. And you and your team should understand whether you are taking the right path towards your strategic goals. Again, your strategic objectives, goals, etc. And to be effective, a KPI must be well defined and quantified. If you cannot quantify it, if you cannot put a number to it, we are working. How many hours are we working a month? If you cannot quantify that in saying that it is 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, 160 hours a month, if you cannot do that, you are actually working with a big abyss. You are creating for yourself such a negative space that people are going to say, but I've worked this month. And when you are starting to be to be questioning, but how many hours? What did you do in those hours? What did you do with my 160 hours that I am paying you actually for? The return on investment is your time and your production. Second one is communicating across your company and the departments. Your objectives is also the company's objectives. You are not an island. You must make sure that your key performance indicators is actually linked to an objective. And I can guarantee you that in certain environments, let's take health and safety. Health and safety is actually the easiest environment to be addressing, because this is cross business. If somebody is falling, even from client services, is slipping on the floor and they are falling, there's immediately a workman's compensation claim that needs to be completed. That is an injury on duty. That injury on duty is actually making that the customer service environment has got one less resource that they need to be working with. It is actually taking a lot of hours to complete all those workman's compensation documentation through. So that is, you have got touch points. You've got touch points on any environment, and you've got touch points on every environment. So the integrated approach across the company is critical. The next bullet is be critical to achieving your goals. Make sure that you are setting the right goals there. Please, everybody knows what is SMART. SMART is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So if you're looking at that, you also need to be saying the same kind of things. I think if we're looking at the goals, or sorry, the objectives, and specifically financial objectives, as well as profit objectives that were set in the beginning of the year for 2020. If we are going to look at it now, you will see that COVID has actually impacted it so much that you have to go and sit and say, what do we do now? Because our production has actually suffered. Our income has suffered. Are we going to have the same financial goals or objectives? I don't think so. So you need to go and revisit your objectives there, as well as then what is your profit margins going to be? Are you going to be paying out the same kind of bonuses than last year? I don't think so. Are you going to have the same kind of increases, annual increases than last year? I don't think so. Are you going to sit with the same resource pool, let's say of 1,000 people, if you don't do business for 6 months? I don't think so. You are going to go into a retrenchment process. So it needs to be specific, and that needs to be like we are taking now at the moment. Every day, everybody's temperature, and that dipstick approach is actually giving you a measurable number over time. And then you're applicable to your business line or department. So critical is that you need to be aligned with what is your objectives for your business department. If you are in production, you cannot go and do maintenance. That is outside of your department's scope. So keep into your scope, define your scope, that you know exactly what you need to do there. So the problem remains that thousands of KPIs have been chosen. If you choose the wrong ones, then you are measuring something that does not align with your goals and your objectives. You should be choosing the right KPIs for your organization. And you can only do that if you're looking at ISO clause 4 is saying understanding the context of your organization. What is your internal context? What is your external context? What's your legal context? What is your stakeholder context, your vendor context, your shareholders, every context that you can actually get a hold of, that you can say, but how does this impact me? The best way to accomplish this is to research and understand a few important KPIs, and we will give you a better idea with the next slide. So if you're looking at key performance areas, we're looking here at the economy, or we're looking at the environment, or we're looking at the society and culture. If you're looking at the specific topics within those environments, we can say the economy. Is it ICT? Is it innovation? Is it employment? Is it trade? Is it productivity? Is it infrastructure? Is it the public sector? What is your specific topics within the area, the key performance area? If you're looking at environment, we're talking about air quality. Now, if you have followed the air quality discussions when COVID started, a month after COVID, the fog over China has actually changed so much that from the satellites they could actually see the streets. They could actually see what is happening on the ground. Otherwise, it was so fogged up. Sorry, I am not swearing. It is so fogged up that that you couldn't see what was actually happening on the ground. So if you're looking at water and sanitation, noise, environmental quality, biodiversity, energy, all of these things is having a huge impact on your environmental key performance area. And then your society and culture, education, health, safety, housing, culture, social and inclusion, and all of these, social inclusion, and all of these are critical. I just want to ask you a big question now, and maybe you can have it as a poll in our chat box. The vaccines that is being tested now at the moment by Oxford University, that is possibly going to be in a market in a new 3 to 4, 5 months. Do you think that is going to be rolled out to everybody with a blanket approach? I don't think so. If you're looking at the news, I think America and France and China has already bought up the first batches of those of the production line. They have already so it is going to be for the vaccination in COVID-19. I am going to tell you there is going to be a price war. There's going to be a kind of an auction in saying that I am buying out that batch. I'm buying out that batch. And then the question is, if we in our country or your country is having 500,000 or 5 million, and you've got a population of 50 million, how do you decide who is going to be getting it? Is it going to be the old and the frail people? Is it going to be the young that is going to be vaccinated, or is it going to be the females first, because this is the future of our species? And then out of the key performance areas, you've got your indicators. So what is your core indicators, and what is your additional indicators that you're measuring? So in the environment, what is your core indicators, and what is your additional ones? So I can easily say that on air quality, you can measure that. On water and sanitation, you can measure that. On noise, you can measure that with Dolby. On your environmental quality, exactly the same. So your key performance indicators is actually driving your key performance areas that is linked to your objectives. Now, if you're looking at financial customer matrices, we are going to speak about on the left-hand side, you will see that what we've got there is actually the financial KPIs. What is your profit? Is your profit 5%, 10%, or 25%? What is your GP? Is your GP 26%? Then your gross profit is actually good. What is your cost? Are your costing structure, if you're looking at PPE now at the moment, if you are saying to a supply chain environment, buy for me the best N95 mask that I can use at the best price, at the best lead time, and at the best delivery where I need it, you are going to struggle, because the prices of these things are actually changing every day. Because companies and countries are actually buying out total lots of PPE. Then we are talking about the revenue versus your objective or your goals. The product sales prices, your day sales outstanding. So this is to do with your debt. The region-wide sales. How do you do in the whole country, but how do you do in certain regions? How do you do globally, and how do you do in certain regions? Your cash flow for financing activities. What is your average annual cost to serve a customer? EBITDA is very important because this is where companies are actually procuring and merging with other companies, and they are actually using EBITDA to determine what is your real profit after your reduction of everything else. The cost of innovation, R&D. R&D is extremely expensive because you are investing in a product that you are assuming or planning to put out in 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. And all the cost that is going into that project for that 4-year period is actually R&D, cost of innovation. And then we're talking here about customer lifetime value and customer acquisition cost. This is all to do with financial the financial KPIs. If you look at your customer KPIs, customer lifetime value, what is the value of that customer for you over the lifetime of your business? What is the customer acquisition cost? What is the customer satisfaction and retention cost? What is the customer retardation rate? What is the contact volume by channel, the net promoter score, the number of subscribers, the number of bounces, the number of unsubscribers, everything that you can actually link to a customer there. And I'm not going to address the process, and I'm not going to address the people matrices, but if you want to have more information about that, we've got that. We can share it with you with pleasure. Then if we are looking at the 5 steps process to make KPIs work, firstly, you need to know that you have to look at your objectives, and each of your objectives has to be looking at what is enterprise, what is your business's KPIs, and most of the time it is going to be governance, it is going to be financial viability, it is going to be that you are working with your board and your stakeholders. Very important. If you're looking at your customers, how do you serve your customers? What is your measurables for your customers? If you look at your workplace analytics, this is the people one that I was actually saying on the previous page. If you're looking at your workplace analytics, how many days are people off sick? How many days are people actually late? What is your analytics about that to make sure that your business environment is performing as you have set it out to be? Then as well, what is your partner and supplier KPIs? And how do you quantify the self KPIs? What is your own KPIs? Because you have got certain KPIs that has to do with family, with work and life balance, with resting, with exercising, with fitness, with all those things, and that needs to be adjusted as you are going along. You cannot not adjust it and keep it as it is. Then you are going to outgrow it so much that you are not going to take cognizance of it anymore. So what is the difference between KPIs and KRIs? If you're looking at KPIs, it is a metric, and it isn't always and sometimes it is not always a KPI. While a KPI can measure performance, KRI, the key risk indicators, solely measures a risk exposure and potential future loss events. I am always thinking that KPIs and KRIs, why do you actually need to change or need to have 2 different things like this picture here on the left-hand side? It is actually the same kind of thing. It is on the same kind of level because it is on your performance level. And only in your performance level, where you've got in your performance matrices, you've got 3 or 4 or 5 key risk indicators that you need to be addressed, and that you need to actually do a risk assessment about, to learn about it more. And out of these analytics, your key risk indicators are going to be much more stronger. And it is important to understand the distinction between each so that you can apply correctly and provide the maximum possible benefit. And that is my last slide that we are going to have. I'm just going to go through our system quickly. I see that we are dead on time. We are at 11:47. It is going to take me 2 minutes. So our software is Analytics GRC&A. Now, GRC&A stands for Governance, Risk, Compliance, and Assurance. So this software is unique in the market, and we've got these modules that is actually integrated into this whole system. So we've got GRC, we've got a combined assurance, we've got an investigation and an incident and investigation management system. We've got the bow tie methodology for risk assessments. We've got enterprise risk management there. We've got 17 standards and 17 modules that we are working with. Specifically, I think we have increased it now with about 4 or 5. So we are sitting here on about 22 integrated standards, as well as integrated frameworks. So if you are on this webinar and we're speaking about King 4, we have got King 4 analyzed. We can measure it on our system, the compliance to it. If we're talking about ITIL, COBIT 5, we have got it. We have also got a mobile system that is just making the system work much better. Checklist, that is also part of our risk assessment methodologies, compliance, and then surveys, and everything is built on machine learning and artificial intelligence. This is where the statistics is coming from. And then our membership and endorsements. If we're looking at our most critical endorsement, it has to do with the PCB, because the PCB is distributed over 150 countries. So we can do work globally. Our international footprint can grow exponentially. And then we've also got other endorsements and memberships. So I want to ask you, please go and visit our website. Go to the media room. There's great articles there. There's catalogs there. There are our white papers, and please go and search. If you don't want to, if you want the link for our YouTube videos, everything that we've been talking about here will be on our YouTube channel by tomorrow afternoon. And we've also got an ISO Global Assistance Facebook page. Very important that you go there and you enlist, please, because this is where any questions that you've got that we can answer there for the whole population that is on that private group to actually benefit from it. So now a freebie. Everybody that is enrolled with for this webinar, we are not going to ask you to register for us anymore. We are going to take your certificate details, and we are going to give you 6 weeks free access to our Analytics GRC&A system, that you can go and play around with it. You can understand it, and if you've got any questions, please make contact with us. And please go to our website under the media room. They've got webinars. Go and log and go and and book your seat for the webinar for next Wednesday and the following Wednesday between 11 and 12. And with that, I'm saying thank you to everybody. It's 11:51, and I'm going to ask Helene, do we have any questions?
We only have one question from King Sobs. Mpo, thank you. How would you rate the use and the adoption of the KRIs in the current corporate practices?
People are struggling. This is why I was addressing. Thank you for the question, Mpo. KRIs, people are struggling between KPIs, a scorecard, a risk register, a strategic, a tactical, operational, and then on top of that, what is your key risk indicators? And this is why I was saying that your KRIs, I have done over the last 10 or 15 years, Paul, I have done a lot of companies board risk assessments, and it is only in the 7th, 8th, 9th year that people are starting to be asking, what is my appetite? What is my tolerance? What is my KRIs outside of my KPAs and my KPIs? And then only you are going further with your analysis. So if I have to be honest, KRIs is dependent on your maturity in your organization and in your business. So I hope that I've answered that. Okay. Helene?
No further questions. And I've got most of the people that attended their details. If you haven't sent it through, you can see there on the slide myself and Nico's email addresses. You are welcome to send that to our email addresses as well, so that we can do the certificates and send that out to you.
As well as to register them on Icelytics.
Yes, that's right.
All right. Okay. Thank you, everybody. We are giving you 7 minutes back of your time. So thank you very much for your attendance, and I hope that it is going to be a fantastic and safe day for you. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.